Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you've watched my other videos, it's greatly appreciated. If you've liked and subscribed to this channel, then that is even more appreciated. Thank you for joining me here today. And today's topic is going to be grieving children. If you are a widow or widower, and have young children or adolescent children, then you understand the challenges that come with that. You know, working through our own grief is difficult, but when you bring young children into it, it's probably one of the hardest things about loss. It is the month of November, and I actually just found out while I was doing some research, but it is Childhood Grief Awareness Month. And I had no idea that was even a thing. And now I know, and now you know, that it is indeed a thing, which makes sense. So the statistics on grieving children is 1 out of every 20 children in the United States will lose a loved one. And that's before adulthood. So 1 in every 20, which is 5% of every child in the United States of America will lose a parent before adulthood. And even a higher percentage of that will lose a loved one, a grandparent, or somebody close with them, which I never even realized how huge that number actually is. And it's really sad that all these children have to go through this and grief. And so, yeah. My daughter, she was 3.5 when she lost her dad and her uncle. And I definitely struggled early on whether to bring her to the funeral services, the wake. But I ended up bringing her anyways. And I'm glad that I did. Being 5.5 years out now, actually, more than 5.5. I'm coming up on the sixth year anniversary in December. So what I've realized and what I've learned is children take things very literal, and saying things like, well, actually, let me rewind. My mother used to early on say to my daughter, oh, he's sleeping with the angels now, or he's in heaven. And I would get upset with her because that can be confusing to a young child who takes things literal, like daddy's just sleeping, or he's up in heaven, he just can't be here with us. So it's very important to avoid phrases like that with young children and explain to them death, as hard as that conversation is, to explain the finality of it, that death is permanent, that the organs shut down, and basically it's death, final, permanent. So I did write a few things down here. And I also want to say, actually, this isn't on my paper, but something somebody told me very early on is do not hide your grief from your children. You know, I was a hot mess very early in the beginning, and my instinct was to hide my grief, hide my crying. I'd go into the bathroom, lock myself in, and just let it out, and, you know, try to put on a brave face the best that I could, but we don't fool anybody. When you are grieving and you're going through the thick of it, our children, they know. They're not dumb. They have good instincts. They know that you're upset. They know you're devastated. It's very important because children do not know what grief is. They don't know how to feel about somebody they love and somebody they're close with passing away. So they learn through us. Kids, they mimic our behaviors, our feelings. So if we're hiding the way that we grieve, then that's not doing them any benefit whatsoever. So it's very important to let them know that it's okay that you're upset. It's okay that you're struggling, you're hurting, that the person you've lost was very important and they're never coming back. So that is a huge thing. And that it's okay to cry. It's okay to let other people know you're upset. Basically, it's teaching them how to grieve and how to let those feelings out. So when my daughter was 3.5, my fear was that she wouldn't hold an original memory of her father, that she would forget him completely, and her only memories would be from videos, home videos taken, or photos. So very early on, I pushed her. I used to keep saying, honey, tell mommy a memory of you and daddy. I pushed it so much with the videos, the constant watching, the constant looking at photos, that my daughter eventually got to the point where she didn't even want to hear the word dad again. She got very closed off to it. So I recommend not to bombard your children with memories, videos, all that, but definitely continue bringing them up. Just not to the point where they're like, leave me alone. I don't want to tell you any more memories. I don't want to look at any more photos. So definitely be aware of that. And I also got my daughter into play therapy very early on. Not having the slightest clue on how to even deal with my own grief and my own hurt and pain. I was scared for my daughter and how this is going to affect her in life going forward. So that is something I highly recommend. Play therapy. If you call your pediatrician, they can recommend you to a play therapist or even possibly a grief therapist. Believe it or not, there are not many grief therapists out there. I did search for myself at one point, and they're very far and few in between. Don't mind me, I'm just fixing my hair. But play therapy is definitely something that can help them process the different stages of grief. Also, be aware that children, often when they go through trauma or loss, they will regress in certain areas. So if your child is regressing, please don't be worried. That is a normal part of this whole process. And it's very important, I can't even stress this enough, is taking care of yourself. Because we can't take care of our children unless we're taking care of ourselves. That's the reality of it. The first month in, I had my mother, and thank God my father came up here from out of state and helped me out. I was in no way, shape, or form able to care for my child at the time, going through all that I have. So I definitely recommend leaning on family, friends, neighbors, anyone you can to give you a helping hand in that area. So now my daughter, she is 9. She just turned 9. And, we memorialize her father. We still talk about him very often, or I do for the most part. Um, the hardest thing for my daughter, I'd have to say, is school. We've had a few incidents where in school they've done family projects or have talked about their dads. And, I've had the teacher call me and just say, I want to let you know your daughter Leighton, she got upset today and was crying. So it does come out. My daughter might put on a strong face a lot, but as I've noticed, it comes out sometimes in the strangest ways, like something so irrelevant, nothing kind of to do with her dad, where she'll find herself upset and then she'll say, I miss daddy. Movies, TV shows with any type of loss in it, that is definitely a trigger for children. But like I've told my daughter, it's okay to cry. It's okay. Basically letting them know that it's okay to be upset, that you should be upset, And we also dealt with, at one point, I think it was Father's Day, maybe 2 years ago, where she kept saying, I don't have a daddy, she didn't want to make a Father's Day card, I think, because she doesn't have a daddy. And I'm like, no, honey, you have a daddy. He's just not here physically, but you will always have a dad. And that's such a huge, I can't even begin to understand her loss and her pain with that, of not having her other parent. I think that us grieving parents that are left, we try to overcompensate, especially in the beginning. I was trying to play both roles of mom and dad, and I realized I can't. I just can't. As much as I would love to, I'm mom. I can't be dad too. So it's important to have, whether it's a friend, a family member, that can be almost like a role model in some way to them. I know that my daughter, she clings on to male figures, like dad figures, very quickly, whether they're a friend's dad or my neighbor. So I make sure that she gets some time with those types of figures in her life. Even though I know it won't fulfill the void completely, at least it helps a little bit. So, yeah, and I hope everyone's taking care of themselves. And let me know what your hardest challenge has been as a parent with a grieving child. So I'm interested to know what other widows and widowers have been through with their children and how they go about dealing with the loss of a parent. I know that we definitely we try to go to the cemetery a lot. We celebrate birthday, holidays. That's very important. Keep them present in their lives, even if they're not physically here. But anyways, I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving coming up. I know holidays can be tough, but it's important to still celebrate for us and for our loved ones that are not here. So hang tight. The holidays will be over before you know it. Thank God. All right, everyone. Take care. Wish you well. Bye.